But I know I believe in angels. I believe in happiness.
Good evening, everybody. It is wonderful to see you this evening. I'm so excited. I have a really cool guest, somebody in a genre that I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody yet. And it's happening. And I am so excited. So we have Peter Warren connected with us, and we'll get to him in just a minute. First up, I'd like to say thank you to our sponsor, Vitor Energy. Vitor Energy mints are, this is how big they are, right? They're little, they go right into your pocket, your back pocket, and you're on the go in your purse, in your gym bag. They are absolutely fantastic source of some B vitamins along with caffeine, but they also give you B3, which is niacin, B6, folic acid, B12. I mean, it is just a power punch. And in each mint, there's only 20 calories in each one. No, I'm sorry. There's 20 mints per tin. Get it together, Elizabeth. 40 milligrams of caffeine per mint. That's what I wanted to show you. Because when I said there's 20 calories in each mint, my head was going, that's not so great. Like, nobody wants that. So the point was the milligrams of caffeine, 40 milligrams of caffeine in that one little mint. That's half of a cup of coffee. Great taste. They're convenient, as you saw. They are vegan, Star K kosher, gluten, dairy, soy, wheat free. And you can go get them at GoViter.com. That's GoViter.com. I'm going to bring up their information right now because there's a little bit of a different name. So I want to make sure that you see it, write it down, but don't leave the show because we have an amazing guest connected. Now you might be saying, what kind of flavors do they have, Elizabeth? Because I see all these different colors in this wonderful promo photo that I have up here. Well, I'm glad you asked. They have wintergreen, spearmint, peppermint, cinnamon, and chocolate mint. You can get these on goviter.com. And if you're only listening to us today, it's goviter.com, or get them on Amazon. Yes, I think I will because I shop there a lot. And Walmart. You know, I was thinking about that the other day. Here's a little plug for Amazon because we're an Amazon Prime Video. So if you don't catch the show live every single time, make sure that you go to Amazon and check out the show because Binge Networks, they're our distribution company, and I'm so very thankful. They have us on Hero Go. They have us on Roku. They have us on Samsung, on Apple TV. I always want to call it iApple because it's always everything, right? But we're an Amazon Prime Video. And, you know, I was thinking about it the other day as I was driving into the neighborhood, and I thought, gee, I order so much more because of the pandemic. Because I kind of got cozy and I'm like, I don't want to go to the grocery store. Like, people, no, I don't want to do that. And yeah, I don't go shopping. My kids, my birthday was yesterday, and the kids had the table all decorated, and I really liked it this year. One year they did all black. And I guess it was the year I turned 40. And I'm like, guys, don't ever do that crap again. Like, no, nothing about me is just all black, silent party, like not me. So they had a really cool design to the decoration this year. And I'm like, gosh, that's cool. I haven't seen, where'd you find it? What did you search? Thinking they got it on Amazon. And no, they actually went to the party store. And I'm like, oh, that's so passe. I don't do that anymore. So anyway, let's move on to our guest. He has a super cool new movie that has released. And Peter Warren, as I said, is connected. He is a writer, editor, producer of Jews at Sea. Interesting name. And at first, when I saw his booking come across and his publicist sent it over, I thought, oh my gosh, what kind of film is this? I hope it's not like some political. It's not. It is hilarious. And it has such a loving tone to why it was created. And then the hilarity is just like all the way throughout it. So I can't wait to show you the trailer. A new documentary film now available on Vimeo. The film tells the story of Warren in his early days as a porn critic for the adult industry trade publication, Adult Video News, AVN. Warren, so he's now a senior editor at AVN. He pulled out hours and hours of VHS tapes of a cruise he and his parents went on after he had just landed his porn critic job. Years after the trip, Warren decided to edit together the many hours of tape into a documentary that followed his story of trying to hide his real job from his parents, sister, grandparents, aunts, and uncles while they were all on a cruise, even as he continued to file porn film reviews from his room aboard the ship. The film turns into a comedy as he struggles to join family activities despite constant deadlines and porn viewing. Today, Warren is an editor for the magazine as well as a producer of the AVN Awards, which are regarded as the Oscars of porn. I believe they're in Las Vegas every year. He held annually in a star-studded gala of porn luminaries held in Las Vegas. The annual awards are shown on Showtime each year. So without any further ado, let's talk to Warren. How are you doing, Warren? Peter Warren? Jeez, let's talk to Warren too. Hey, Peter, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
You're very, very welcome. I can't wait to get into this. So, of course, the first thing that I saw was this right here.
Okay.
Jews at Sea.
Yes.
So I had to put it into a Google search and I watched the trailer. And we're going to get to that in just a minute. Everything I read there, so take me back to your college days. Were you a kid that was just like, you saw porn as soon as you got out of mom and dad's house and you're like, I love it. This is what I'm going to do. I'm done.
Yeah, let's see. So in college, I mean, I don't think I'm that unique as far as discovering porn as a young lad and taking a liking to it. But in college, I was in a fraternity, and a few of my frat brothers and I decided that we were gonna start up our own porn club, within the fraternity, and so we actually had weekly meetings and we would go and rent a porn movie, take it back to the house, and have our little secret meetings where we watched porn, and it was ridiculous, but we were college frat boys, so what are you gonna do?
Did you have your favorites? Like, what year? Take me back. Set the scene. What year was this?
So I was in college from, I graduated in 97. I guess I was there 93 to 97.
Okay.
So yeah, we were still in the VHS era.
Did you go to Blockbuster?
No, because you couldn't get porn in Blockbuster. That was one thing Blockbuster didn't offer. No, but there was a local mom and pop video store that we went to that had a massive back porn section.
Oh my gosh, I remember those. So you went to Chapel Hill, which is in North Carolina.
Yes.
So when you say mom and pop, you literally mean mom and pop.
Oh yeah.
And I go to the back section, wink, wink.
Right.
Wow.
I mean, it wasn't that it wasn't rinky dink or anything like that. I remember it was a pretty nice store. It was pretty upscale, but yeah, that's what we did. So the funny thing is, even actually my best friend growing up always says to me that I'm the only person he's ever known who, he says, knew exactly what they were going to be doing when they grew up and lived it and lived to tell it. Made it happen.
Really? Okay. All right.
According to him. I don't know.
What? So were you looking at the whole thing like there were production studios and you preferred a studio over the other? Like, were you already really into it of the critique side?
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, it's always been just about the stars to me, like finding stars that you like, and just finding stuff that they're in, and that's how I've always made my porn selections. But
Speaking of stars, we actually have a question here. Who is your favorite star? And this is just talking about the frat guys in college. Who was your favorite star at the time? We're talking 94, 95. I can think of one that was super popular then.
I'd be interested to hear who that is. But I think back then, it's funny. I actually mentioned this to somebody earlier today. There was a girl who only made like a very small handful of movies back then. Her name was Roxanne Blaze, and I was very smitten with her.
I vaguely remember that name. Of course, Jenna Jameson was at her height then.
Right. Yeah, that was right when Jenna Jameson like really came around.
Yeah.
During my college days.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now moving through your journalistic studies while you're at Chapel Hill and then some of your first jobs, in reading through your bio and reading through the press release and things like that, it definitely sounds like, you didn't necessarily continue those evenings of critiquing the porn with all your frat brothers and stuff into your adult life past college right away. Like, you worked for some nice size publications first.
Okay. Well, okay. So to really get into the timeline, after I graduated from Chapel Hill, I moved back home for a year, and I was just waiting tables and doing stuff like that. And then I went to grad school for a year for screenwriting in Miami, and I lived in Miami for another couple of years, still just waiting tables and figuring out what, not really knowing what I wanted to do with my life,
Mm-hmm.
Until my roommate at the time and I decided that we were going to move to California, and we did it, and we didn't, and it's really, it's the craziest thing looking back. Like, I mean, I can't imagine having these kind of cojones now, but like, I mean, we moved across the country, not really having any plan what we were going to do. And as it happened, like after we had all our plans in place and everything, 9/11 happened. And we were literally like planning to move. It was like a month after 9/11. And we were just like, well, I mean, everything's in motion already. And we didn't, so we just came right after 9/11. And, settled in here. But where I'm going with that is that after I got to California, I reconnected with somebody who I'd known in college, who was working for a paper here in LA. And he gave me and my roommate at the time a shot to start writing movie reviews and stuff, like entertainment journalism type stuff for his paper.
Was that Entertainment Weekly?
It was called Entertainment Today.
Okay.
It was like a local LA alternative paper.
Okay.
And I parlayed that into a couple of other freelancing things. But eventually, when I really got serious about making writing like my full-time career, and searching for jobs, I found AVN. And I already knew of AVN because back in my college, during those college porn club days, we actually would rent. They had the AVN Awards that they put out on video that you could rent, and we rented them and watched them. So like I knew exactly what AVN was, and then working here at video stores, we got AVN, so I would read it every month. So like I was very familiar with AVN at this point in my life already. I just didn't know how you got a job working here. But then I found that they actually advertised that they had a position open, and you know, one thing led to another, and that's where I've been ever since.
I have such a funny story about AVN. So, a long time ago, well, not a long time ago. Yes, it was. It was. I'm getting older and I don't feel it. So a long time ago when I was in corporate, I had to send a bunch of my field managers out to Las Vegas, right? So
Yeah.
I send one in particular, picture it. He's early 40s, never been married, still lives with mom and dad. He's very klutzy and owns a crotch rocket, like bad combo. And he's very meek looking, but all he listened to was Slim Shady. Like that's it. Right? So I send him out to Las Vegas. He calls me and I could almost hear him trembling on the other end, not out of fear, but out of excitement because I had put him in the hotel where the AVN Awards were being hosted and he
Okay.
was surrounded by virtually naked women
Yeah.
everywhere. In heaven. He's like, thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm like, for what? Is it a good hotel room? Like what? He's like, I'll send you pictures. Gotta go. Bye. So it's quite an experience from what I understand.
Oh yeah. So was this like at the Venetian? Maybe.
So this would have been in 2006.
So yeah, probably
2006.
would have been at the Venetian. Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the MGM because that's what
No.
keeps coming in mind of where I sent him, but I don't think that was it. So yeah, it was probably the Venetian.
Yeah. Sounds right.
Uh-huh. So, okay. All right. So now you got your foot in the door at AVN and
Yes.
the work begins.
Yes.
And
Well, okay. So it's actually, it's not that I actually started working here full time immediately.
okay.
At first, I was hired as a freelancer. It became one of my freelancing jobs at the time, right? And it was during that time when I started freelancing here, between then and when I actually got hired full time, was when this trip happened with my family that became Jews at Sea. And so yeah, like I had not told anybody except for my cousin and my sister, the ones my age,
Okay.
knew what I was doing, but none of the rest of them I had not told them yet, and so yeah, hence all of the trying to keep what I was doing secret from the rest of them during the trip.
Okay. So I have a question because it's when you're watching it, we're going to show you in just a minute the trailer, but I do want to chat about it for a minute. Were you filming it at the time as a record for the whole family of now it's your grandparents' 60th wedding anniversary, right? That
Right.
was the whole point of coming together, all the family on one cruise.
Yes and no. I actually, okay, so at some point, but like when this cruise was being planned, they were putting this thing together.
Mhm.
I wanting, like, having this dream of knowing that I was coming out to California and thinking that, like, I wanted to work in movies because, like, I'm a movie fanatic, and I went to film school. Like, at some point in my life, I thought I was going to get into making movies, and I just knew in my gut, like, with this trip. I saw this trip coming, and I was like, I know how we are, and I had a whole conversation with my cousin even about it at the time. I was like, this needs to be a movie. Like, I have to record everything that happens during this trip because it's going to be insane, and I think it will be a movie. It's got to be like, I'm going to do it, and and I went into it just thinking, like, I'm going to make a movie about this experience. And I think I had already determined that, like, even before AVN came into play. So then, like, the whole me having this job became part of it, and it was one of those, like, lightning in a bottle. Like, you couldn't have planned it. It just, everything came together in a way that was perfect.
So tell me a little bit about your family. What are some of the personalities? Like, do you have, is it a gregarious family? Everybody has a big personality. Like, what is like?
Not, I don't think everybody does, but certainly the ones the ones who stick out in the movie the most obviously have the biggest personalities. Unfortunately, sadly, now, like, half of them have passed away at this point. My grandparents are both gone. My uncle is gone. But it's just if you think about, like, a kind of a stereotypical Jewish family, that's kind of loud and obnoxious and funny and all of those things. I mean, it's just it's what it is when we're all together in one spot.
I love that, and that's got to be where the comedy all just naturally flows. You
Yeah.
know, and one thing I've been lucky enough to write some comedy skits and have some comedy and things like that published and perform it myself, and I do love comedy so much because most of it is talking about our real situations. And if it's a loud, obnoxious Italian family, why is that funny? Because we have so many of them.
Right.
Or the very, like you said, stereotypical Jewish personalities, like those exist. And I love that you're shining a light on your family. And I think it's your aunt says something at the end, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But all right, so now we have the basis for the filming. So you knew you were going to do something with this project.
Yeah. I think I was thinking of it at the time as that it was going to be like a real life, My Big Fat Greek Wedding or something like that. That was kind of what I went into it thinking it was going to be. And it sort of is what it is to a degree.
So now with some of those personalities and things, did you show the film to all of the family that are still with us?
Oh yeah. No, they've all seen it multiple times.
What did they think?
They love it. they love it. Yeah.
All right. Now let's talk about that. At that time, when you filmed this was like 2002, maybe?
Well, it would have been 2003.
2003.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you filmed this in 2003, and that was quite a while ago now.
Yeah.
So they didn't know what you did. At what point in time Did you say, okay, all right, this is what I do? Like, were you in the press somewhere and you're like, oh crap, I got to tell mom?
Well, no, I mean, not to. I don't think it gives anything away, but it's actually it's how the movie ends is me telling them, what I was doing in my life.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love that. We all have to go rent it and buy it and watch it. I'm so glad I asked that question.
Yeah.
Oh my, because I can't wait to get into this film. I like to ask questions based off the trailer because I don't want to like say something and give it away. So many filmmakers such as yourself will come onto this program and I haven't watched the full project. Now, a lot of interviewers will do it the other way around, right?
Right.
But I never want to spill the beans on anything. That's like, I gotta find out now. All right, now it's available on Vimeo, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I do have the trailer. What do you think? Let me share my screen to the trailer. Would you mind? I know we've kind of already set it up, but would you mind setting it up and then we're going to go ahead and watch it?
You mean as far as the trailer?
Just the trailer. Just the trailer.
I love the trailer. I think that the trailers. I think trailer's almost better than the movie, but I mean, not really. But
okay,
I think it speaks for itself.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
This is Jews at Sea by Peter Warren.
Hurry up and pick a card!
It's already service environment.
Hey there! I have so much fun.
A big fat gangbang?
You come with me.
I had Nathan's hot dog for lunch.
Have you ever heard of a magazine called AVN? Does that what the American way?
I get into the
Aliens.
aliens. People are dumb.
Trying to kill me.
The whole family.
Which one of y'all here can do it the Jewish way?
I think we're all going to be in the movies. Are you not going to tell them ever? Your family is still as pushing as ever.
I got outrun.
It's not the best.
I love that. He says it's not the best. Wow. I think even if you didn't go to film school, you put all that together, now that editing software, I mean, is everywhere. Like everybody has it.
Yeah.
It's so nice and easy to be able to put all those old videos together. You'd be like, this has to be a film.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Especially after I discovered iMovie.
Right?
Back at the time, yeah, like it's whatever. I taught myself how to edit a movie.
Yeah, you pretty much have to, when you're creating a film, especially like that.
Right.
Normally I would ask, okay, what was your budget for the film and things like that. I think for you, it would just be your student debt, right? You went to film school and you went on a cruise with your family.
That's right. That's right. My personal budget was zero for the movie. I mean, that's not entirely true, but I might as well be. Yeah.
Now, was that your sister reading a mag that said "My big
Yes.
fat gangbang"?
Yeah, that was, I brought, like I said, because my sister and my cousin were the only two that knew, I brought that issue of the magazine with me, which was this is crazy for me to think about now, but that was the 20th anniversary issue of AVN, which had just come out that year, which means that I now have been at AVN almost 20 years. So, but that was, I brought that issue just like to show them what it was that what I was involved with, so they could see what I was doing.
So, speaking about titles, I want to ask you about crafting titles of an article when you're talking about the film.
Yeah.
It's not always the film title that's going to be the title of the article. You'd have to come up with your own title, right?
Yeah. Well, when you say about articles, you mean like the articles that I write?
Critiquing. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming, when you're critiquing a film, you're coming up with, tell me how does it go?
Well, if I'm writing a review of something,
Right.
it's just, so here's the review, here's the movie, here's the review, whatever. As far as I mean, that's a totally different thing than like coming up with the title of this movie, if that's what you're getting at. Because
That's another question. Yes, we can
Yeah.
definitely explore that, which is a very blunt title. Jews at sea. Like, it doesn't get any more simplistic than that.
right, which I think, God, I don't remember exactly what my process was of coming up with the title at the time, but I do know that it's inspired by, I make no secret of the fact that it's a riff on this Mel Brooks like fake trailer that was at the end of History of the World Part 1, called Jews in Space.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So, it's kind of an homage to that, but it just like, as soon as I thought of it, I was like, well, that's the title. It's not good. I'm not going to come up with anything more perfect than that,
So now, as far as the film festival circuit and things like that, where do you see that you'll be placing this film, or do you plan on placing the film anywhere else?
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I've played at a couple of festivals. Well, let's see. I guess, well, the one isn't really a festival, but it played a while back. There's a thing called what is it? Something Monoplex.
Mm-hmm.
I have to look it up, but it's an online thing. This guy, it's kind of an interesting story, actually. This guy I met through Twitter. We've never met in person, but because his actual name is Peter Warren, and that's my Twitter handle. And he was like pissed off because like I had his name, and he kind of discovered me, but he's a movie guy. So like he started sending me messages and stuff, and we got friendly, and then he hosts this online thing that he started, I think, during the pandemic. The Black Hole Monoplex, that's what it's called.
Okay.
It's its own website. So like, he invited me to show Jews at Sea there a while back, which was a cool thing.
That's very
but
cool.
like years ago, I showed it at another film festival in Philadelphia.
Right.
Another story.
I was reading about that, and did I read it correctly? That's where AVN So
that's where AVN was born. Yes.
where it was born, it started. I would have thought it would either be like New York City or Los Angeles. Los Angeles, especially.
Right. You would think, but no. Paul Fishbein, who started the company, is from Philadelphia, and he worked at a video store there, and he had a journalism degree, and he started AVN. He came up, he had a business plan, and it worked.
Yeah.
But it started in Philly, and then he eventually moved it here to LA.
So now I noticed when I was Googling, because, I always get like press releases. And of course, there's a great press release out there from PR Scribe Services out in Los Angeles about the film Jews at Sea, which is your film, Jews at Sea.
Yes.
And, I was kind of Googling to see what other kind of information I could find. I found your pen name. And so your pen name, which is also, it's described as the alter ego pseudonym.
Yeah.
Wetskrog Rex.
Yes. So Wetskrog Rex, to go back again to the college porn club, part of that was that everybody who was in the club, we came up with a name for like a porno-ish name.
No way.
Yeah. And that was mine in the club. And then when I started writing for AVN, when I first started writing for AVN, it was what I used as my pen name. When I actually got hired on full time, I changed it to Peter Warren. But yeah, for all the stuff that I wrote as a freelancer was under Wetskrog Rex. Way back.
Wow. Okay. Well, that answered absolutely, because I looked at that and I'm like, that's got to be his porn name. Like your first pet with the first street you lived on, and like, oh, that's your stripper name. That's got to be your porn name.
It was supposed to be ridiculous. That was the whole point.
Yeah, totally. It's totally ridiculous. What were the other guys' names?
Well, the guy who created it with me, his was Ramdog number 1. I remember. Oh God, what were some of the names we came up with? There was, oh God, I can't even remember. I remember Ramdog number 1 because he always said I'm number 1 and my little guy is Ramdog number 2.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Keg involved with creating these names?
It was like we sat. We would just sit and go like it was almost like we were like meditating or whatever. We'd be like, we're gonna think of a name, and then like whatever popped up, we were like, that's gonna be your name. It was so stupid.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the movie again, which is Jews at Sea. The music is fantastic. And we were speaking, you gave me a little bit of an education because I'm not Jewish, I'm Catholic. I'm the other thing. And
the other guilt religion.
The other very guilt. Big time guilt. Like we go to therapy and then we find a life coach and then we find a spiritual healer to try to get rid of some, and we're still guilty about that because we're not with the other one. So your parents have a band, and it's called Klezmer is the style of music. Is that right?
Klezmer.
Klezmer. Sorry, I screwed it up, of course. All right, so we found a website.
Yeah. Thanks to this, I wasn't even. I guess I must have been aware that this website existed at some point, but I just rediscovered it for this. Let's put it that way.
That is so cool. So their band is called Viva Klezmer! !
Yes.
And you can find their website where they have links. Oh, wow. Your dad even put together a contact us page.
Yeah.
That is cool.
That was, this is another part of when I talk about, you know, everything coming together so perfectly, because I grew up with this, with them playing this music around me all the time. And they had this band, and I had, you know, they made a couple of albums that I had, so I just like used that music to score the movie, and it's perfect. You know, I couldn't see it any other way.
No, absolutely not. That's awesome. I was sharing with everybody all the different pages, and your parents have put some really cool pictures in there, and the full band, what everybody plays. Like it's very detailed. So that right on. Like they did a good job with that website. So if like anybody else, they're watching the film and they're like, you know, I want some really good music. Could they contact your parents? Would they offer music for sale?
I guess they could. I'm sure they still have. I'm pretty sure they still have the CDs and stuff. And they could contact them, see what they say. I'm imagining yes.
That is so cool. All right. So I know I'm bouncing around a little bit, but this whole porn critic and Jews at Sea, it's like, it's just, it's its own planet. So I want to go to the other side of the planet.
Go ahead.
With your critiquing of porn, in your opinion, what are the toughest things to try to critique in that type of filmography?
The hardest thing to write a review about, I would say, is something that has no story, no dialogue, no, you know, that we call it all sex or gonzo, whatever. You know, if you have nothing to work with but just like what the sex is that's happening in this movie, like it's just it really is a challenge to come up with anything fresh to say about it that hasn't been said 800 billion times before, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if there is a story and a script and whatever, like that gives you stuff to, you know, you can talk about people's acting, you can talk about the cinematography or the director or whatever, you know.
People watch it for the acting.
Oh, well, I mean, some people must be watching it for the acting, because I mean that's what we have awards for.
Yeah, well, I mean, I understand the acting in an act. I understand all of that. Like, I get that. But the whole like ding dong, oh hi pizza man, you know that like
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Here's the thing: is that there's so many different tastes out there, and so many different, you know, whatever it is, somebody's into it. So, like, definitely, I hear frequently actually that people really want to see stories. Like a large percentage of the porn watching population apparently wants a story with their porn, and so that's why it's out there. Yeah.
that is so crazy. It's the first time I've ever heard that.
Yeah.
I just assumed that was, I don't know, kind of like low rent fluff. I
mean, there's that too, but you know, but yeah, that's the thing. There's something for everybody. You know, whatever it is, there's somebody out there who wants to see it.
So you're talking about there's something for everybody.
Yep.
The films that you've written about, are they all, you know, like Vivid Studios, or are they all big productions?
Not always. I these days don't write a whole lot of reviews anymore. I mean, I do here and there, but much more of it is being assigned out to other people, and I just edit it. But like, usually, yeah, the stuff that I do choose to review is going to be like the bigger productions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how many years were you writing reviews?
You mean these reviews for AVN or mainstream?
For AVN. For
For
AVN.
AVN. Well, since 2003.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So after a period of time, did it become kind of monotonous? I mean, there are so many things you can do, and
Yeah, definitely. There was a time when it could get pretty monotonous. I mean, especially many years ago when I used to write a ton of reviews. I mean, when I was writing, I don't know, 20, 30 reviews a month, something like that. Yeah, it would get monotonous for sure. These days, thankfully, no. I choose, and like I said, I have the liberty to be able to like choose my select few things that I will really want to review myself. So it's going to be, if I'm choosing to review it, it's going to be something that I'm going to have something to say about.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I have a question about, really, it's more of a sociology question. But if you don't want to answer it, you can just answer yes or no. So being in the adult industry, having to watch porn and write reviews for so many years, did that ever affect relationships? Like, were the people that you were interested in, were they not interested in what you were doing?
Relationships are relationships are a challenge I think for anybody in this business, but yeah, I'm not afraid to talk about it. It's just it's really hard doing what I do to get interest from anybody because people outside the business, the second they hear porn, it's over.
Yeah.
It's done. They don't want anything to do with you. And then people inside the business, that's a whole other mess to have to deal with. To put it, vaguely.
Yeah, I mean, there's, sociology again in watching the industry, especially how it has emerged. DVDs, really a DVD player wasn't something that the common household had until the mid to later 80s. So it's
DVD didn't even really come along until around 97-ish.
Right, 97. I jumped ahead. I was thinking VHS.
Right, VHS. Yeah.
Put the cassette in. So it's been a while, but it also hasn't been a while. Right. And to watch the industry, to see who's still here, who isn't here, who doesn't make it. Yes, of course, there's a lot of things that happen in the industry. Now, all right, like I said, let's flip the world around again, go back to Jews at Sea, because I read something that seriously piqued my interest. You are thinking about doing a sequel? Is that right?
I've pretty much shot a sequel. It's just a matter of putting it together. That's because, boy, I mean, I didn't have any time back then. I even have less time now to do it.
Now this one I have in my notes called Jews in Heat.
That was a working title at one point, but if it's gonna come to fruition, that's not gonna be the title. That's just a title that I threw out there.
Okay. I mean, that would be kind of funny if it was another family vacation and you were just on the beach, like you were in a hot, like on the equator.
No, what it is there were actually my cousin and my sister from Jews at Sea both got married, so it's both of their weddings.
Did they get married very close together, like month to month? Like
No, it was a couple of years apart, I think. But they both got married several years ago, whatever.
okay.
And so yeah, like I did the same thing. Brought the camera, shot everything, and I've got lots of video that's just sitting there.
The first film, Jews at Sea, there was a huge cliffhanger. Like there was that huge, like, oh my gosh, are they going to walk in on him? Like, oh my gosh, who's going to find out first? Do you have that same hook for the sequel? Like, did something big happen that we?
No, I wouldn't say there is. It's more. That's another thing is that I don't think I've quite figured out what the quote unquote hook is that you're talking about. I mean, it's a lot of the same people, some other people too that get added into the mix, and it's just kind of, you know, a lot of just funny little incidents going on surrounding these weddings. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly what like the through line is.
Okay.
Or I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it happens. I'd like for it to happen eventually.
Well, I'm sure that it will. And all right, so tell us, how can we see the film? How can we follow you? That's a great question. You were saying that your Twitter handle was Peter Warren, but there was another Peter Warren. So what is your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is Peter Warren.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
The other guy was Peter B. Warren. That's not me. I'm just
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So I'm going to type that in and broadcast that. So it's not Peter B. Warren. That's the other guy that got really pissed off that you had the same name as each other.
He's a nice guy. I like him.
Oh, that's good. Well, and then everybody can go over to Vimeo or search. Just do a Google search of Jews at Sea.
The easiest way to get to it, I think, is to go to the website for the movie, just jewsatsea.com, and there's a link right there to Vimeo. Just click on it.
Okay, and that's jewsatsea.com. So www.jewsatsea.com. And Peter, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. This has been really fun. You've answered so many questions that, you know, it's one of those eggs. It's like nobody really wants to crack it, but they do.
Yeah,
They have so many questions. And this has been a lot of fun. If you enter into any new festivals or anything new with Jews at Sea or your sequel, please let me know. I'd love to have you back on the show.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. I had a lot of fun too.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we'll see you again very soon. All right.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Everybody, that was a wonderful show. Thank you so much for staying tuned. And as always, we are blessed. You are blessed. Mwah. I love you. And stay tuned.